Hello, class. This is Raul Ramirez and Philip Gillespie. Today we're going to be covering hiking and the brain. So bear with us as we'll cover a lot of materials about the benefits that hiking plays in brain health.
Thank you very much, Raul. Hope everyone has had a wonderful week so far and gotten their hikes in. So hope everyone enjoys the PowerPoint and let us begin.
All right. Thanks, Philip. So, one of the things that we want to share with everybody is how hiking promotes healthier brains. You'll see kind of here in our pictures that we show a family out in a park or in a forestry area, and then a brain kind of receiving various sensory input feeds that make it better overall. So one thing we want to share is that hiking is more than just a walk and in the wild or just any physical exercise routine. It actually is adventurous, it's fun, it can be very rewarding, enlightening, and sensory refreshing activity. Being on a couple hikes, personally, I can attest to this where, I've felt better, my mind felt clearer, felt kind of a weight lifted throughout my hike. And to be honest with you, the sound of nature is very comforting, relaxing. And it can be fun because you run into things like animals, just nature, insects, things that you weren't paying attention, a humongous tree or anything like that. So throughout a lot of the research, we can see that there is a lot of benefits just from doing a hike, a nature walk that is perceived and received by the brain. So we'll jump into what we're calling brain function. One of those main benefit areas we'll cover. So you see kind of here an image of the brain on the right, looking at frontal lobe, temporal lobe, brainstem, the cerebellum, the occipital lobe, and parietal lobe. So the brain isn't just like this big ball of mud. It's actually a pretty well orchestrated, intelligent piece of our bodies. So hiking is, we believe, a very cost-effective intervention. It is fun, and it helps promote gray matter retention and thinking in critical brain regions like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. Some of the research tells us that hiking and other physical activity provide the brain with enough oxygen for neural development. So even children partaking in hiking is extremely powerful as they're going through development. I have a 3-year-old, and bringing her with me has been kind of refreshing as I learned a lot of this. Another thing that improves here on brain function is the focus by resting directed attention through exposure of restorative and natural environment. So the fact of being out in nature and seeing kind of the cycle of life, seeing trees that are dying, walking through brand new plants that are growing, and just kind of experiencing that as a cycle is a very thought-focused, provoking energy in just out in the open. If you start to experience rain in your hike, or all of a sudden the sun is kind of dawning, or it's rising, all of that is kind of that restorative visual. Not only is it visual, but it's also auditory, and it's also sensory through our skin. The wind is changing, the sun is coming out and it's calming. So that is like, very medicinal to the brain and the energy the brain is perceiving through all of our senses. So it could slow down in some of our research that we were reading is that it can also help slow down and prevent dementia. One study talked about how they saw improvement in patients in a hospital when they had a window that they could look out to nature. They saw like various layers of improvement in their medicine intake and how they felt. And, a lot of this is very measurable. So I think it's important to just kind of capture, even though we're summarizing some high level here, there's a lot to be said about how it helps with focus. In addition to that, there is increased activity in attention and focus brain areas. The use of spatial navigation while on your hike. If you think about it, you're trying to balance, you're trying to watch your step. And so you're not necessarily distracted like you would be on a phone, or your mind isn't wandering off. And if it is, it's very intentional. So it increases that activity in attention. So some of the studies, like on children, they demonstrated that they were able to kind of see that activity in that part of the brain. The other thing here is that it sparks brain creativity and problem solving by approximately 50%. Again, some of the studies show that it triggers just that level and that parts of the brain that help with creativity and problem solving, and it comes from just all the information you're receiving from being in nature. Is that you're receiving inputs from everywhere, and so your body is in a way heightened, but not in a stressful way and not in a bad way. Nature in itself is very calming. So I think it kind of sets the stage for receiving a lot of information as we kind of go through that type of exercise. So hiking is really touching in all dimensions of our sensors, of our sensory system. And so the brain is a machine that's programmed to receive it all. And so I think one of the things I've enjoyed a lot, and I could relate to the creativity side, is that when I was out there, I was looking for things. Like I found myself looking for mushrooms. I found myself trying to understand what this plant was, trying to figure out how old this tree was. And all of that helps me kind of connect and ground myself back to nature. And that process alone could be very rewarding, calming. And this is kind of some of what the study and the research bring us back to, is that it's a very medicinal in that way to the brain. So I'm going to kind of pass it to Philip. He's going to walk us through additional benefits that it has on the brain overall. So let's turn it over to my classmate, Philip.
Thank you very much, and elegantly said, Raul. What I'm going to be covering is memory and mood, and how I can correlate like a good walk or hike into improving memory and mood. Is I work in finance, and there are often times when I am working on a report for another team, and I will be stuck on a problem. I won't be able to solve or figure out the issue with the report. What's wrong with it? Is it formula based or whatever? And what I've found that works for me is to get outside and go for a nice walk. And I will generally make sure that the walk is at least a mile or more. And what I have found is when I return to the office, that I feel re-energized. I feel like a new me, and I find that taking a step away from the work that I'm involved with and coming back to it, I'm able to find the answer. And and my mood is improved. Um, Nature helps you feel better, think positively, and supports cognitive health. Um, and let's see, it also helps ward off age-related memory decline, helps with the release of endorphins, which improve your mood, curtails loss of gray matter in the brain, which helps us with processing information for ages 40 and over. Um, routines such as 35 minutes a day, 5 days a week, reduce mild, moderate depression symptoms and reduce negative thoughts, supporting overall mental health. And this all goes back to taking a step back away from work. One of the things that the other thing is this class has made me do is go for a hike every single week. And the thing that I love is, outside of one of them, I've been by myself, and so it's been a break for me. And I love hearing the wind rustling through the trees, the sounds the birds make, and I am an insect nut. I love insects. I can read on ants and many beetles and bees and whatnot, and I'm just a nerd, and I geek out over all of that. While I'm on my walks, if I spot anything that looks interesting, I will take a moment to admire it, regardless of what type of insect it is. I geek out over it. And while I'm on my hikes, I've noticed that, like, taking a break from the cell phones, the TVs, the tablets, and all electronical devices outside of my watch, keeping tabs on what I'm doing, it 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 makes me feel a lot better about myself. And it's a great way to relieve stress. And we live in a current situation where we're stressed. A lot of people are stressed. For many different reasons. And so getting outside and being out in nature, breathing in that fresh air, and just taking time, a certain amount of time out of your day to detach away from the electronics that we have, is a great way to improve your memory, and also most importantly, your mood. We can move to the next slide. Let's see. In summary, hiking is a simple way to improve your body and brain's overall health. It's a fantastic way to connect with nature while relieving stress in a natural way. And Raul touched on a lot of this, and this class, a lot of what this class has done is it's inspired me to want to get my family out. And one of the things I discussed with my wife was, even though my wife is from Brazil, and so they do not like the cold and they do not like the rain. And so, but I've been able to convince her that this winter, we're not staying indoors. If it's raining hard, we'll be indoors. But if it's just regular mild rain, we're going to be putting on our rain gear, and we're getting out, and we're going to go do some hikes. I love being out on the trails with my daughters. My oldest one, who just turned 5, she loves insects just like me. And so when we're along on the trails, she has to stop and look at every single insect that she sees. And so it warms my heart to see that. It's a great way for kids to get a break, because kids are addicted to TV. And so turning it into a connected family adventure is, it will motivate them to want to do this in the future, by themselves. So it's just a great way to take a break from technology and admire the wilderness and beautiful forests that we have here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, thanks, Philip, and thanks everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed go listening to kind of our review of how hiking promotes a healthier brain and overall mental health wellness. And I couldn't agree more with Philip, having experienced recent stressful life events, I can share that being out in these hikes has been extremely mentally healing and therapeutic. So, thanks to this class, to all of you, and look forward to seeing what your presentations look like. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Stop recording.